Why we took the plunge? Because at that point of time, Honorable Prime Minister, he had done the clarion call of, Atmanirbhar Bharat. When I did the first government consulting project, I was really, I would say, I was really satisfied by the impact of the government consulting work which we do. Primus Partners, we have 44% women participation. So from day one, we were very clear. When we founded Primus Partners, there were some principles, which we really want this firm to stand with. So one was gender equality. So in order to encourage entrepreneurship, in order to encourage India's vision of again 5 trillion economy, we are also establishing Primus Capital, which will be a fund to encourage startups, to basically help startups.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Women Entrepreneur TV. In this week's video, we continue with the interview series where we bring to you women leaders from various industries to share their valuable views and thoughts with us. Today, we are joined by an up-and-coming consulting professional and entrepreneur, Aarti Harbhajanka. An MBA graduate from IIM Lucknow, Aarti has worked with some of the biggest names in the consulting industry. In her decade-long career, Aarti has led and delivered major projects with numerous public and private sector clients. In 2020, Aarti decided to take the entrepreneurial route and co-founded Primus Partners, a homegrown advisory firm. The young firm has already worked for a host of public sector clients, Indian and multinational companies on policy and regulatory matters. Aarti is passionate about gender equity and aims to make Primus Partners a diverse and inclusive organization. So let's begin the conversation with Aarti. Let's just begin with talking a little bit. Can you just give us an introduction about yourself, who you are, what you do?
Sure. So Rachita, I am in computer science engineer, MBA from IIM Lucknow. And straight after my MBA, I joined this consulting world. I started working with PwC, then moved on to Accenture Management Consulting, then KPMG Management Consulting. I was among the youngest directors, associate directors, managers in all of these organizations. Then after working for quite some time in KPMG, a group of us, we decided to establish Primus Partners. Why we took the plunge? Because at that point of time, Honorable Prime Minister, he had done the clarion call of, Atmanirbhar Bharat. In fact, one of his interactions, he had said, so if you look at the consulting world right now, it's only international companies, right? There's Big Fours, there's McKinsey, there's BCG, they're all international companies, either US companies or European companies. So why don't we have Indian companies? That's what the Prime Minister had also proclaimed. So with that background, and given the fact that we had worked in all consulting companies, in fact, we had established the government consulting practice in 2 of these companies from scratch. So the idea was, then why don't we open our own Indian consulting company? So with this, we founded Primus Partners around 3 years ago, 2020, April 2020, that's where we founded Primus Partners full-fledged. So while we started 3-4 months before with the whole background and all of it, but full-fledged started on 1st April 2020. And I think by God's grace, and we were unfortunately a COVID baby, so we started Primus Partner and COVID struck. But we're fortunate in that way. So thankfully, our ambitions or our aspirations, they were not affected by COVID. And we are very fortunate, it's by God's grace. So it's been 3 years now. And I think in 3 years, the kind of progress which we have made, I think many firms, they don't make it in maybe say 8 to 10 years. So this is where we are. We have offices around, so while we have project offices around 12 states, 10 to 12 states, we have our corporate office in 5 states. So while our headquarters is in Delhi, we have offices in Mumbai, Bangalore, Chandigarh, Rajasthan, and so on. And we have a corporate offices and project offices across the country. So this is where we are. We are working with almost top private companies. They are the the top 5, top 10 companies, internationally top 5, top 10 companies. They are our clientele. Indian top companies are our clientele. Of course, government. So we're working extensively with government of India, with so many state governments. So yeah, God has been kind, and I think we're doing very well. And hopefully we'll realize our vision of having Indian consulting Big 4.
Your organization actually works in the field of Indian policy and it also works in the impact
Yeah.
sector. So can you talk in detail a little bit about the kind of work that the company does in these fields?
Yeah, sure. So our founders, our blood is government consulting, policy consulting. So we work with governments. We work with around 12 odd government of India's 10 to 12 government of India ministries. We work with around 10 state governments. The work which we do with them, again confidential, so I won't go into details of projects, but the work which we do with them is around public policy making. So identifying what are the challenges which citizens face. Now, these challenges could be in terms of, education, it could be in terms of skill development, it could be in terms of poverty elevation, it could be in terms of urban planning. So across sectors, it is defense, aerospace and defense. So different sectors, we have different experts who are working with governments, ministries of those sectors. So identifying the gaps which India needs. If India wants to achieve its vision of 5 trillion by 2030 and 26 trillion by 2047, when India becomes, 100 years old. So achieve those visions. What are the gaps which exist in the country right now, in the industry right now? What kind of policy interventions can government get with the constraint which we have, resource, it could be financial resource crunch or the people resource crunch, whatever. So with the constraint we have, what could be the best policies which could be introduced? And once these policies are introduced, and even helping the government in implementation of it. So what kind of technology solutions can be developed? So we're also developing technology solutions, or we help government design the technology solutions, and some other third party can come and develop these technology solutions. So what kind of technology solutions will be needed to implement these policies? Monitoring the implementation, is it happening as per the vision or not? And then depending on the monitoring, depending on the review which we see, how do we evolve the policy? How do we plug the gaps in the policy? So this is what we keep doing with government. So we are working with, as I said, again, it's a repetitive thing, and we are working with more than 20 to 12 government of India ministries at the center level. And we are working with many state governments, around 10, 12 state governments, we are working with them. Why am I in this government consulting? Why are we in government consulting? So I started my work with private consulting. But when I did the first government consulting project, I was really, I would say, I was really satisfied by the impact of the government consulting work which we do. For example, Aadhaar. So when the Aadhaar was envisioned, implemented, I was there in the Maharashtra IT department. So it was at that point of time, I was my first organization, PwC. So at that point of time, it was our team who was working in the entire Aadhaar conceptualization, implementation in Maharashtra. So if you see my Aadhaar number, it's among the top 500 or maybe say top 100 Aadhaar numbers of the country. So the impact which you see in government consulting, it's much more. I was doing private mein profit बढ़ गया, cost कम हो गया, but the impact is quite limited. So prior to this, I don't know whether you know about Maharashtra. So triple IT in Nagpur, triple IT in Pune. So we were the ones who made the DPRs. We were the one who got the private partner to establish national law universities in Mumbai, in Nagpur. We were the one who made the entire conceptual plan, and so yeah. So I think in government consulting, the impact is really great. So that's why, yeah.
Absolutely, and it must have been very interesting to be in the thick of things when the
at times very frustrating also. But yeah, I think that's part of everything.
I'm sure you look back fondly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aarti, like you just mentioned that you had worked with some of the largest names in the consulting world. So I'm sure you must have also seen that the consulting world is somewhat called to be a male-dominated industry. I mean, we have figures and figures to back up that claim, but you must have seen it firsthand since you worked in the field. So what has your experience been like of being in the consulting industry as a woman in the business consulting industry?
So, Rashita, as you rightly said, in consulting, if you look at the women participation, typically any of the consulting firms, there's hardly 10% of all the people in the consulting workforce. So while you'll have people in the support, HR, finance, etc., and that's how the companies claim that we have 15% or 20% women participation. But having said that, in the consulting workforce per se, consultants is hardly 10%, 10 to 12%, not more than that. So actually, that's why when we started Primus Partners, we're very wokey and nahi yaar, hame to 50% chahiye. We are at 44%, but anyway, that's a different story. Why there is less participation of women? Because consulting profession is very demanding. It's very demanding. So you are more or less at the beck and call of the clients. Clients, I mean, they expect, and fair enough, that's with any service industry. It is consulting, it's very demanding. Now, what happens is because the nature of the consulting is very demanding, many times unconsciously, the people who are hiring, they may choose a man over a woman because they know that woman going ahead, she would have lifestyle, milestones like maybe marriage, giving birth, etc., 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 etc. She may not, and I'm not saying it's conscious, I'm somewhere unconscious somewhere. So if there are two people, maybe it's unconscious bias. Okay, men are better because in terms of demand, they would be able to meet those demanding expectations in consulting. That is one. And second, in these milestone events which happen in a woman's life, all these consulting companies, they have standard practices. कि ठीक है, maternity leave है तो 3 महीने का है या अभी 6 महीना हो गया है. But that's it. So what next can be done to maybe retain her, to maybe support her? Maybe 1 साल तक कुछ कर सकते हैं क्या? Maybe can she join back? When she join back, she may not be able to meet those demanding. So can she be given some other work which is maybe not so demanding? So itna flexibility nahi hota hai because these are big, huge behemoth organizations. So the project manager who's deciding this, he won't have that authority to take this decision, even if he wants to. Because it's a huge organization driven by policies, etc. They don't have that personal touch. I'm not blaming anything because this is how it is. So that's why I think somewhere, the consulting workforce is less. And also one more thing, so these people, they want ready-made people. For example, okay, let me just put it this way. Now, when we recruit people, yes, first our thing is, we need, okay. So in my company, CHRO is a woman, CFO, which is a woman. So all of us are, and in fact, even all the men leaders, they are pro-women. So we at time of recruitment, we consciously try and recruit women. So many times there is gap in the expectations or requirements, which can be plugged to training ho gaya, mentorship ho gaya, etc., etc. Somewhere that is, as in, maybe because big companies, they have the option to they may have 2 men jinko gap mil raha hai, and there is 1 woman, so I may as well go to them. So I think it's combination of all of these factors because of which there is low participation of women in consulting. Yeah, in normal companies. So parallel to that, I'm very proud of this. Again, I'm sorry if I'm beating this question. So in Primus Partners, we have 44% women participation. So from day one, we're very clear. When we founded Primus Partners, there were some principles, which we really want this firm to stand with. So one was gender equality. We also, by the way, signatory to the UN Women Principles, UN Women Empowerment Principle. So those are basically an oath which a firm takes, on voluntary oath which a firm takes, that, what will we do for women empowerment, for women participation. So I just lost my track of thought. But anyway, so our idea is right now we are at 44%. We want to push to 50%. Yeah. And forget about consulting. I don't think any industry has such high participation. And we are a small organization anymore. We have around 200 people in our organization. But yeah.
Like Aarti, you spoke so passionately about having more women in the workforce, especially in the field of consulting. And it is one of your focus areas at Primus Partners as well. So hiring women is one thing, but ensuring that women build successful, long-lasting careers.
Absolutely.
So organizations definitely need to put in place policies, initiatives, so that women can build lasting and fruitful careers. So what does Primus Partners, are there any strategies or policies that the company has implemented in terms of promoting gender equality or promoting a more diverse and inclusive workforce?
Yeah. So see, in terms of policy, yes, let me just begin with the entire life cycle. So one is at the time of recruitment. That's where we ensure that we have good number of women participation. Then it could be the training, skill development required. So we do training and skill development of everyone in the firm, not just women, in terms of gender sensitivity, unconscious bias, being empathetic to people, not just women. It's for men also, right? So being empathetic to both women and men in terms of what we have this policy of equal pay and equal promotion. So in our firm, if you're a woman or a man, it's not just only for women, all of them get equal pay, which is again something very different, which doesn't happen with any other consulting firm in India. In fact, we were inspired by Google. Google had done this pilot where, equal pay, equal promotion. It's a pilot in Google, it's not a vote. But again, as I said, we are mad people wanting to do crazy stuff in India. So we have this equal pay, equal promotion policy. And then more importantly, Rachita, we have this family assist initiative. So we don't paint everyone with the same brush. So depending on which life milestone you are, you may need customized or personal intervention. It could be maybe extended holidays. It could be maybe cutting back on the profile of the work. Move rather than having a client-facing work. Can I go to a research work? Or can I go to projects which don't require me to, because I have just maybe my parents are not keeping well, I need to take care of my parents. So, can I maybe work from home? Can I move to those projects which work from home? So we have this personal, and we have many such policies. For example, if someone has finished their, if they have finished their leaves, then can we as a firm, and many times as a firm, we just let them take more paid leaves, forget about unpaid, we let them take paid leaves. So why all of these companies have somewhere these policies, it's about that personal attention. What else does that person need? Which policy will ensure that that person continues and ensuring it is being implemented? So I think all of these together somewhere, attrition is hardly anything. So I think all of these towards, and of course the normal policies towards yearly post training, sensitivity. So all of that is also in place. But I think if I have to say what is that 2-3 policies which really impact, if I have to look at hindsight, I think that's what I believe. I don't know if this is true. One is recruitment. So at the time of recruitment, ensuring women are given priority. And it's not that we compromise on merit, not at all. Those women are deserving. So that is there. Second, equal pay, equal promotion. So I think that is also a big factor. And personalization of intervention. So depending on the milestone, what is it that the person really needs to, overcome that milestone? And it's not just applicable to women, it's also to men actually. But yeah, that's what helps.
Absolutely. Which is why it's gender equity and building an inclusive workforce which takes everyone along the journey.
Absolutely.
You spoke about some very interesting ideas that you've put in place as initiatives within the organization. So, Aarti, can you also tell me how have you seen these policies impacting maybe the performance of people, or how has it impacted the bottom line, or I think you briefly mentioned attrition as well. So how have these policies and initiatives manifested in real life?
See, in terms of first, employee satisfaction, I think that is really increased. Employee empathy, now they feel, so for them work, at least that's what, see, in fact, recently we came down, we had gone to our annual international offsite. So we were around 120 people who had gone to Vietnam, and no work, it was only bonding. So somewhere the firm, the bonding between our employees, between the team is really strong. It's just not limited to professional to work. It's a deeper bonding. And because of this deeper bonding, there's more collaboration, there's more satisfaction. People are very happy, they enjoy coming to work and so on. That is one. Attrition has come down, our numbers say so. We get so many referrals from our internal people, so and so on. We get so many people reaching out to us that we are interested. So yeah, I think in terms of outcomes, yeah. But I think among these, what would be the biggest outcome which I would be happy with is the satisfaction, the bonding among people. So for them, now their colleagues are not just their colleagues, they are truly friends in true sense, not just for the heck of it.
Aarti, what's next for Primus Partners? Is there a roadmap that you set for the company? Are you looking to foray into any new areas or industries? Just a little bit about the future of the company.
So see, Primus Partners, yes. Apart from consulting, now we are going into Primus Solutions. We are establishing a new firm. In fact, we are at the advanced stage of establishment. Very strongly think that consulting now has come the time where it's not just advising people what is good, helping them implement it. So we are opening up from Primus Solutions where we'll develop technology solutions. We'll work with the client in identifying what the solution would be and help in the entire implementation outcomes. So if you look at Primus, our value somewhere is realization, value realization. It's not just giving ideas, it's realizing, helping the clients realize the value. So that's where we are doing this entire Primus solutions. Then we're also establishing Primus Capital. So Primus Capital is more, again, see, also again, we all of us strongly believe in India's growth story. We have been working with government. I have been working with government for almost 15, 16 years. There are many of my colleagues who have been working in India with government for almost 25, 30 years. We strongly believe India has very, very high, we strongly believe in India's growth story. And primarily that's where we establish our firm. So in order to encourage entrepreneurship, in order to encourage India's vision of again 5 trillion economy, we are also establishing Primus Capital, which will be a fund to encourage startups, to basically help startups. And given so much experience we have in the entire space, how can we encourage startups in realizing, in growing big and realizing their dreams from our story? So we are a startup, again, a parallel thing. Trust me, the journey was not easy. Jitna bhi hum bole, it's difficult being a startup in India. So we want to encourage more startups. We hopefully from our experience and finances and our connects, etc., if we could encourage more startups. So Primus Capital is something which we are looking at.
That actually brings me to one of the last questions that I have for you today, which is, do you have a message or any advice or just some last words that you would like to share with people who are going to be reading your interview or watching your interview?
That we should dream big, dream really, really, really big, and really work hard to achieve it. I think perseverance is most important. Let not failures, let not roadblocks stop you. Just if you have a dream, first dream big. That is the first thing. And just keep going. There will be failures, there would be roadblocks, but just keep going. I think that is my only message to myself also, yes, to others, but that's something to myself, which I keep saying again.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's also going to resonate with a lot of our readers and all of our viewers. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Aarti, I think that's all from my end today. I'd really like to thank you for talking to me, for taking me through your very interesting journey, the amazing work that you're doing at Primus Partners, and we wish you all the very best in all your endeavors.
Thank you, Rachita. Thank you so much.
So that was Aarti Harbhajanka, co-founder of Primus Partners, sharing her thoughts with us. With that, we come to the end of today's conversation. Thank you so much for watching and staying with us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to hear more such interesting conversations only on Women Entrepreneur TV. Thank you.